A flagship Wi-Fi router? Yes indeed, and today I'm here with TP-Link's Archer AX11000 Wi-Fi 6 router. Taking its design influences from the Wi-Fi 5 Archer C5400X, let's see what differs under the hood. Unpacking the box, there's a second white box. Inside this, the router comes sitting in a moulded cardboard insert, which is great to see. Player is actively promoting the non-use of plastics wherever possible, so this is great. An assortment of paperwork including a Wi-Fi info card, which is a neat addition, a 1 meter Cat5e cable, a 60-watt power brick, and a UK kettle lead is also included. 8 high-gain antennas make an appearance. This is where the gamer aesthetic arrives with the black and red accents. The only place any colour other than black is entirely throughout. One thing to note, once easily attached, they are at a fixed position and cannot be adjusted. The router itself is covered in moulded black plastic, and as a recent trend has shown, it is quite a wedge. Weighing in at 1.6 kilos or 3.5 pounds, it has some heft to it. Measuring 240mm across and 55mm tall, it takes up a decent footprint, so make sure you have the room for it. To alleviate desk space, and by flipping it over, we can see 4 wall mount holes, so there is an option to wall mount this beast if that is preferred. It is a safe bet to presume now that there is a powerhouse of electronics inside, hence the amount of ventilation available on the top and bottom of the router housing. Finally, the TP-Link logo can be found on the top. It glows red, orange or white, indicating its operational state. The rear side shows a single 2.5 gigabit/second WAN port for direct internet connections. With very few providers offering anywhere near that speed, this is future-proofing at its finest. 8 gigabit Lan ports are included. Ports Lan 2 and 3 support link aggregation for file servers or workstations that would benefit from a 2 gigabit/second connection. The left side is blank, and the right side has one Type A and one Type C USB 3.0 connector included to connect hard drives to the AX11000 to be used as a Windows network share. This gives you the ability to share the drives locally with Samba Share via FTP or over the internet via FTP as well. Time machine backups are also supported in the menu, giving OS X backup options. Finally, the front has 3 small buttons. These from left to right are WPS Connect, Wi-Fi on-off and LED on-off. That about wraps up our look around the router and is a good time to get into more specifications. The Archer AX11000 is a tri-band router, a single 2.4 GHz band that goes up to 1148 megabits per second and 2 5 GHz bands that go up to 4804 megabits per second. The latter of these 5 GHz band is being marketed as a gaming band, and this is where TP-Link continue to add things like consoles and gaming laptops, so they are attached to their own separate band away from things like smartphones and other 5 GHz Wi-Fi enabled devices. MU-MIMO or multi-user, multiple input, multiple output is the first improvement, and while not new, has had an upgrade. Wi-Fi 5 introduced it, but Wi-Fi 6 improves it. The technology allows a router to communicate with multiple devices at the same time, rather than broadcasting to one and then the next, and then the next. Right now, MU-MIMO allows routers to communicate with 4 devices at a time. Wi-Fi 6 will allow up to 8 devices to communicate at the same time. The other new technology, OFDMA, which stands for Orthogonal Frequency Division Multiple Access, allows one transmission to deliver data to multiple devices at once. In practice, this is all used to get more out of every transmission that carries a Wi-Fi signal from a router to your device. 160 MHz channel bandwidth. 5 GHz Wi-Fi has jumped from 80 MHz to 160 MHz in Wi-Fi 6 devices, thus enabling better theoretical channel bandwidth, faster connection and bigger range. The brains of the outfit is a 1.8 GHz Broadcom BCM 4908 quad-core CPU with 3 Broadcom BCM 43684 Wi-Fi co-processors, 1 GB of RAM, 512 MB of flash storage and Bluetooth for the Tether App setup. Game Accelerator and Game Dashboard are used in the browser or TP-Link's Tether smartphone app. Accelerator and Dashboard control things like QoS and give you the option to select profiles such as standard, gaming, streaming, surfing, chatting, and any other custom profile you want to make. Game Protector, part of the Homecare software package, is an antivirus software package that is built into the AX11000 and is provided by Trend Micro, offering malicious content filter, intrusion prevention, and infected device quarantine. The rest of the Homecare package gives you parental controls which you can tailor to specific devices and QoS, which I just mentioned. Setting up the router can be done either on the smartphone Tether app or using the browser at 192.168.0.1 or tplinkwifi.net. One thing to note about the Tether app is you'll need a TP-Link account login, so there is a privacy concern, to a degree, worth mentioning. I tested the Bluetooth feature on the router to connect to the Tether app to do the initial setup of the AX11000 out of the box, and it worked perfectly. Now that I've reset it again, let's get on the computer and take a look at the setup. Alright, so let's set the router up. I've just opened my browser of choice, which is today Edge. I'm going to type in TP-Link Wi-Fi.net. You can also type in 192.168.0.1. This will load the initial setup page. It's asking us to create an administrator password. Now, the first thing I noticed is doesn't have the traditional TP-Link sort of blue, white, and yellow colours. It has this ready kind of what kind of looks like a battlefield background. So that's the that's another one of these sort of gamer the gaming router like differentials, if you like. That kind of sets up the look and feel for the entire router actually. But I'm just going to type in a password. Now this is part of the setup, so you have to select your time zone where you're from. So in my case, I am UTC, which is London. The connection type, I'm going to click auto detect and see what comes up. Dynamic IP is good. That just gives it an IP from the router. Yeah. That's fine. Of course, you can set up your own if you have a PPPoE connection, which is fiber normally. Static IPs, etc., etc. It's whatever's given to you from your ISP. We have the MAC address. Again, there's some more special ISP profiles and special settings if you need to create your own custom ones. I'm just going to use default. Here you can set up wireless settings, so I'm going to set each band individually. I'm just going to give the passwords. Something that for me that's a little bit more easy to remember. Of course, it's not going to stay like this, but I thought it'd be funny to use password 1. So there we go. Click next once you're happy with all these settings. You notice here the 5 GHz -2 is named as gaming. Like I mentioned earlier, they're saying basically use that for all your gaming devices, and that way they're on their own separate channel. I'm going to do a connection test now. That picture there is where you can download the Tether app, and again that's where you can use your smartphone to set up the device as well. The AX11000 has Bluetooth as well, so you can connect to it via Bluetooth and use that to do the initial setup, which is pretty decent actually. As I mentioned earlier, of course you do need to have a TP-Link account. It forces you to use it. Speaking of, you have the option is the word I was looking for there, to type in your information and connect your account now, or you can just skip it altogether. The final thing to note at the bottom is Apple devices with iOS 11 or higher can use you can just use the camera to scan one of these pictures, and that will let it connect directly to whatever Wi-Fi channel you like here as well. Of course, you can just save it and then you can do what you like with it. I'm just going to sign in for testing. So greeted with the network map page. Again, this is where you can just do a speed test, and that's for the QoS stuff. It gives you some information about the internet status. If you click on the router itself, this is where it has its sort of gamery sort of look and feel. It gives you some more information about the router. You can turn on or turn off particular wireless channels. You can enable or disable the guest networks if you like. Ethernet status is along here at the bottom as well. So finally, if you click on clients, this is where it gives you all your clients lists, real-time information, etc., etc. I'm going to try and go through this as quick as possible. But yeah, this is where we have the game center. So it's network traffic, blah blah blah. We have the game accelerator. I found that enabling this didn't really make an effect at all. So it's up to you whether you want to use it or not. More on that later. Game Protector, this is where it has an antivirus built into the package for the life of the router. So that's awesome. That's provided by Trend Micro. Set up parental controls. You have a smart game assistant. So you can use Alexa to ask TP-Link to prioritize gaming, etc., etc. It also has IFTTT, VPN server options, port forwarding, game diagnostics. So it's basically like a ping tool. Moving on to the internet, it's a little bit more if you want to change some of the settings that you made in the initial setup. Wireless settings, you have AFDMA, leave it on. Smart Connect, so that just creates a single channel and password, and then that will let the router put the devices or change the channels of certain devices to, so there's pros and cons basically to using either or. I'm probably just going to leave it on, and then that way I can change the name or whatever, and then I know exactly what channel I'm connecting it to. So like I said, pros and cons for both. The guest networks, you can enable and disable those again with security this time. So we'll just quickly move on to the advanced. This is all the information tab for networks. So you can there's with a few more options. TP-Link IDs. This is where it gives you some information about your like bound accounts and stuff like that. Moving down to the wireless settings again, there's a few more like advanced settings, transmit powers, channel width, and things like that. So again, for the 5 gigahertz channel width, you can go all the way up to 186 megahertz for Wi-Fi 6, which is great. More stuff for the guest networks, wireless schedules, WPS, ADS, as well as other additional settings. USBs, this is where you can add a storage device like a hard drive into the USB-A or Type-C port on the side of the router. You can do Windows shares and time machine backups. Pretty cool. Port forwarding options. We have the Homecare. So again, this is more stuff for parental controls. QoS. You can have the standard profile, which is just prioritizes network traffic for everyone. You can have the gaming option, which will prioritize game traffic, such as traffic from like gaming servers and things like that. Streaming will prioritize obviously streaming applications, Netflix, etc. Surfing will just set browsing the internet at the most important as the most important option. Chatting, and then obviously there's custom ones. So you can adjust those for each of the things that you like as well. So that's pretty cool. More antivirus stuff there. Security, so you can make firewall changes, access controls, IP and MAC bindings. That's pretty cool. There's application layer gateway stuff. Just leave all them turned on. VPN server stuff, so you can create a VPN server on the router. Very nice. IPv6 stuff, so that is if your ISP uses IPv6, you can enable it here. And then obviously finally there's some system settings. We've all seen this before, but there's firmware upgrade options, backup and restore, administration, system logs, diagnostics, timer language, reboots. LED controls are a nice one. You can turn them on or off completely. You can have there's also night mode as well, where you can turn them off. So let's just say you have it in your bedroom. You can turn them off at like 10 p.m, turn them on 6 a.m. That's the default. Of course, you can change it wherever you like. And then finally, the operations mode, where it's just currently being used as a wireless router. So that's just taking a connection from my router in this case, which is there, being plugged straight into the AX11000 there. Or of course, you can use it as access point mode. So let's just say you have another router that isn't wireless, you know, that you don't want to get rid of. Plenty of applications where that's the case. You know, and then you just use the router as an access point instead. So that's nice. So you don't use it as a router, you basically just use it as an access. Pretty self-explanatory. So on to testing. With up to 10,756 megabits on the table, remember though that this is total available throughput and at best marketing material. Those figures are totally unobtainable in a single connection, considering Wi-Fi 6 cards and mobile phones only have 2x2 radios, which are the best you can get at the moment. In my case, I'm using a FemV PCIe 1X card, which uses the Intel AX200 chipset to do my testing. With the Archer AX11000 being a 4x4 router, that means you could in theory have up to 4 2x2 devices connected at full speed simultaneously, but Wi-Fi 6 wasn't really designed for that. Wi-Fi 6 introduces some new technologies to help mitigate the issues that come with putting dozens of Wi-Fi devices on a single network. It lets routers communicate with more devices at once, lets routers send data to multiple devices in the same broadcast, and lets Wi-Fi devices schedule check-ins with the router. Together, those features should keep connections strong even as more and more devices start demanding data. Now, as the Lan Ports on my Archer AX11000 and my PC are gigabit, we are limited to a gigabit connection. So I connected my PC using Ethernet and created a share to the Wi-Fi 6 card that I put in my file server to test alongside Ethernet. A 2.5 GB ISO was used as the test file. I decided on two ranges, 3 feet and 40 feet from the router. I decided on these ranges to give a suitable range that are standard new build UK houses. So not only was the second test 40 feet away, it was also on a different floor and through two separate walls. Mean of the 3-foot range test maxed out the gigabit Ethernet connection with a 113 megabit per second transfer rate, the exact rate I get when transferring files over a direct Ethernet connection. At 40 feet away, the results were a very impressive 110 megabits per second, pretty much maxing out the Ethernet line once again. A massive victory to the Archer AX11000, which shows off the power under the hood. It also shows that gigabit Ethernet is the bottleneck here. Enabling the link aggregation here on a file server or workstation could well be in order when using a gigabit internet connection, or larger, as is possible depending on your location. Really here though, what I'm trying to say is that while the router is a powerhouse, Wi-Fi 6 on the Archer AX11000 is designed to handle many devices with large amounts of throughput concurrently, and to me, that is its selling point. NAS performance. Here I connected a USB 3 caddy with a 480 gig SSD to do some file transfers via the gigabit wide connection to my PC. Again, the mean of 3 tests were used, and I'm pleased to report a surprising 52 megabytes a second for writing and 103 megabytes per second for reading. A respectable result showing off the power of the quad-core Broadcom SoC used. Roundup time. TP-Link Archer AX11000 is a behemoth Wi-Fi 6 router targeted straight at gamers and enthusiasts. It's been 3 years since we've seen a TP-Link product on the site. Time really does fly. Speaking of fly, the router is the best performer we've tested as expected on the channel. The hardware is top of its class, tri-band radios, adding a third channel for gaming consoles and the like, but really this is thanks to the DFS technology pushing users to vacant lanes to keep speeds high. I was impressed when I concluded that the Archer AX11000 could easily provide throughput and range for a high demand household, especially with content consumption, with the likes of Netflix and others really booming in recent years. The thorn in the crown is that TP-Link have followed suit with the AC5400X and called it a gaming router. Actual gaming routers run game-orientated firmware that, among other things, detect a game being launched and adjust settings on the fly. No such thing here. For example, there's a new section in the interface called Game Center. Within it, the Game Protector includes the antivirus and parental controls. Now, we saw QoS earlier in the software walkthrough, so we know it's here. It's just not here, it's hiding in the advanced menu. And why? I have no idea. Now, that doesn't mean QoS isn't a gaming feature. It is. But the problem with QoS is it detects for all devices on the network, so the type of traffic that your QoS setting is set to look for will take priority over the whole network. And the more you have, the more there will conflict for that priority. My recommendation is that you use the custom setting in the advanced menu to create custom priorities for certain types of internet traffic. This had the best outcome for me overall. Similarly, the support for Alexa voice command is now Game Assistant, though it has nothing to do with gaming whatsoever. The game Diagnostic is nothing more than a general ping test and standard traceroute tool, also nothing gaming related. Randomly, the Archer AX11000 has a new game accelerator setting, supposedly reducing lag when you turn it on, but that applies it to the whole network instead of individual clients. So why is this even a thing? This setting should not need a slider. It's not like there is ever a situation where high latency is ever a good thing, right? Regardless, Game Accelerator was turned off by default, but when activated I noticed zero change in gaming. I still have my high latency moments, but that is also thanks to the 4G internet I'm currently forced to use. I guess overall I'm just bothered by the gamer settings that don't actually have a gaming impact or benefit. Bringing it back on course, let's not forget the Archer AX11000 is top of the line in its class with tri-band radios, fast Wi-Fi speeds, excellent range, with a reliable signal and decent NAS performance if that takes your fancy. A simple gamer aesthetic user interface with advanced features and a plethora of management options. Overall, a premium flagship product with a premium price tag to match. At the time of this review, the Archer AX11000 is available at between £350 and £400, making this a substantial outlay. But what you get is a substantial flagship product in return, and I'm happy to award the TP-Link Archer AX11000 Players Platinum Award. A Platinum Award for a Platinum product. Big thanks to TP-Link for sending the Archer AX11000 in for review. Glad you're still here at the end. I've been Dave for Player TV, thanks for watching. Give it a like if you liked, dislike if you didn't, subscribe and click the bell in the corner down there, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.